These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Reckless speculation. Reckless speculation.
It's another scoop session with our guy Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department, and it's a Reckless Speculation Thursday here on Mackey and Judd.
Reckless speculation.
Hello, Doogie, and happy Reckless Speculation Thursday. Look at your bronzed head. Is this all from like the first day of training camp?
This is it, Phil. Good morning. Hello, Phil. Hello, Judd. Hello, Declan. Happy
Darren.
Reckless Speculation Thursday. Yeah, I mean, no doubt, Phil. I mean, I was out there for about 4 hours on day one. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of it is that, but outside, coaching baseball, enjoying Little League baseball, all that good stuff. So, yeah, I've got a nice little base built up.
Yeah, let's get it.
SPF
Judd, we gotta
50.
Get yeah, Judd looks like he's been on SPF 50 the whole week.
I don't want to be bronzed. No. My only mistake yesterday was I sprayed my face, to try and make sure. And I was sweating so profusely, it started to drip into my contacts. And
that's the worst.
SPF 50 going into your eyes with contacts hurts like
horrible.
hell. Today, we will be more careful, but I'm not burned. And that's the most important thing.
That is the most important thing. Now, hey, call me a wimp. Although 1 out of every 2 players, so of course, TV-wise, we had to be well-positioned. Guys walking out of the locker room. We were there for the money shot, what we thought would be the money shot. Number 99, Danielle Hunter, taking the field, which never took place. He was not on the field either for walkthrough on day one. We'll see here later on day 2 if that happens to change. Multiple players told me, yes, we've had face-to-face dialogue. He is here in Eagan, but he just wasn't seen on the practice field on day 1. But like, we're out there, right, capturing all these guys walking out of the locker room. 1 out of 2 was like, bleep, this is hot.
Yeah.
Holy bleep, this is ridiculous. This is hot. So when those guys are complaining, it's far too hot. I don't know why the Vikings don't shift the practices to morning. I'll never understand that. But hey, they were out there by the end. TJ Hawkinson told me, hey, I need to go in the locker room and chug about a gallon of water. So I'm good to go for day 2. Multiple guys told me that. So I'm not quite sure why they go 2:15 or 2:30 to 4:05 or 4:10 when they could practice in the morning. But maybe that's a good question for Judd's guy, KOC. KOC bonded with Judd yesterday.
Yeah,
he was
we
walking
heard.
down the steps.
Yeah. So what's the details there?
Judd and
We need the
KOC
details.
had a nice little back and forth.
Dapped it up is what we did.
Mm-hmm.
So he was he comes down like when the players are in progress stretching. So like he's not on the field when stretching starts. And so he came down and his office is right above the field. So he comes down the staircase and goes by us and on to the field. And I saw him and I said, they can't start without you. And he's like, yeah. And I said, happy football season. Little dap.
Oh, wow.
Initiated by him, not by me, because I'm not a dapper.
You wished him a happy football season, but
I said
he kind of responded with the dap.
And he said, are you guys tired of talking about all those other sports? And I said, Kevin, this is where the money is. Everything else is ancillary.
Wow.
Doogie, I have to ask you something because I don't know if I trust Judd. Did Kevin O'Connell address Judd by his name?
You know what?
did
I
not.
wasn't within earshot. I was about 10 to 15 feet
trust
away,
Judd.
so I
He
saw
never
the
said
by
Judd.
play, but I don't know if he referred to Judd as Judd or not.
He did
We
not
still
say
got
Judd.
time. We got
He did not say Judd because I said they can't start without you. Happy football season. He said, how are you doing? I'm like, yeah, dap. And then he said, are you guys tired of talking about all the other sports?
Okay, when Judd said the comment about like, hey, all the other sports are sort of ancillary. This is where the big bucks are. Did Kevin say something along the lines, Doogie, of that's a good point, Judd?
No, he smiled and walked away. He's like, oh, yeah. And he smiled like, he
He
knows
kept
what I'm
going.
talking about.
Yeah.
He knows what I'm talking about.
I mean, frankly,
He
it
was
looked like
busy.
he was
This was very
feigning
quick.
interest in the back and forth.
Yeah.
Judd was trying to keep going, and KOC
Yeah.
was like,
Oh, so
yeah,
Judd-
Actually, I
enough is
wasn't,
enough.
'cause you know
Oh,
what?
boy.
Pleasantries
You know what?
were exchanged. Let me get to the
Yeah.
field.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
yeah, no, but he did the great walk and talk. Like I wasn't trying to keep him. It wasn't like a
sounds
Sid
like
thing,
you
right?
were a little
like
bit.
Sid was. No, I was just shooting the breeze with a guy that I know a little bit. That's all that was. There
He's
was
a friend
no
of the show.
like.
He's a friend of the show.
There was
Although
no
you
like
clearly don't know him
exchange
well enough that he calls you Judd.
No, he does call him Judd at press conferences.
occasionally.
Yeah, he is.
But
I know he
this
does,
was like.
yeah.
But wait. If I pass if I'm back at Benilde, circa '87, and I see a pal odds are he's not going to say, "Hey, Judd." He's going to be like, "What's up?" And be like, "What's up?" We'll see each other. How's it going? We just talk and walk, right? This
and
is what that was.
We know you're not saying their name because you don't
Yeah,
remember it
you
or
don't
don't
know
know it in the first place. You probably never knew it even in '87.
Well, that's not, yeah, that's not the point. The point is we don't need to be saying, like, it's not a formal thing. It was very quick. It was a very high. I was glad. We're both glad. We're kindred spirits in that way. The football's back because it's where we make our money.
I will tell you, though, for what it's worth, after a walkthrough, so our mutual friend Kevin Seifert of ESPN has a bucket hat, right? And KOC said to Kevin, "Hey, Kevin, I may need to use that hat later." He did refer to him on a first-name basis, but not
it's
you, Judd.
And it's a great bucket hat, by the way.
It is fantastic.
It is next-level, game-changer bucket hat.
Well, as Kevin noted, he's now 50, right? I mean, things change when you turn 50. So.
Don't gotta tell me that.
Yeah,
Darren.
he's ready to rock and roll here
50.
for the next few weeks.
SPF 50.
Exactly.
So, Dukes, we don't really, because the Vikings are like, what are they, 6 years now removed from actually practicing in Mankato, whatever it's been. So we don't officially do like a big Mr. Mankato thing anymore. I know that it's kind of, now I think it's kind of been, I don't know if hijacked is the word, but like other outlets have now kind of taken it. Just so people know, Mr.
And
Mankato.
we would never be guilty of such a thing. Certainly I would not, right?
We should have trademarked it a long time ago, but that's neither here nor there. So, I guess in the spirit of Mr. Mankato, under the radar sort of players to watch, guys that aren't like not Jordan Addison because he's a first round pick, but under the radar guys. Who are some of the names that you think we should keep an eye on here, Doogie, from what you've heard and what you've seen?
Well, I mean, top of that list, although he's not under the radar, is Josh Metellus. Metellus is going to have a pretty sizable role in Brian Flores' defense. But two very much under the radar guys are two second-year players, wide receiver Jalen Naylor and linebacker Luigi Villain. Had multiple people, even before yesterday, but multiple people saying, hey, we're really excited to evaluate these guys throughout training camp.
Villain's a very interesting guy because when you see him lined up, much like Metellus, he looks like a safety, but he's an outside edge rush linebacker. And right now, the two outside linebackers who are basically replacing Daniil and Zadarius are Davenport on the right side and Wanham on the left side. I'm not convinced DJ Wanham is a starter, and so I'm with you, Dukes. I think Villain, Patrick Jones, and Villain add a very interesting element to what Flores wants to do, but I think Villain qualifies as sort of a little bit more positionless because he does look like a big safety to me as much as a standard linebacker type of player. So that one, I think, as training camp progresses, could be a surprise because I wouldn't be surprised if he ascended the depth chart here by the time we start seeing games.
I would not be surprised. DJ Wanham then could potentially become trade bait, or is Wanham a lock to make the 53-man in the final year of his contract? But yes, that would be connected to Villain or maybe somebody else making a leap. Yeah, right now, okay, Wanham first on the depth chart, but 3 weeks from now, let's revisit this conversation.
And Judd, I don't want to spoil the dumping of your notebook on Purple Daily today, but I think, is it safe to say that the cornerback battle is just sort of wide open, and are they going to be shuffling guys around the first team defense, the cornerback corridor of it, or do you think they've sort of landed on, all right, these are the three guys?
No. So the starters on the outside in the base, I think, are set. If Caleb Evans stays healthy, he's going to be, in my opinion, the left cornerback in the base. Byron Murphy Jr., the free agent from the Cardinals, will be the right corner. But yesterday, where I was really surprised, and I think Dukes would echo this as well, was Byron Murphy Jr., not surprisingly, in the nickel package, moves inside, which we fully expected. O'Connell in the springtime talked about that. But Joejuan Williams, the free agent addition, I think he's 6'3", big kid, who didn't play last year because of a shoulder injury in New England, and I thought was just sort of added as a free agent guy who might have a chance. He spent a lot of time first team reps at the right corner in nickel yesterday, which, I mean, my God, we could go down this path, but that was surprising. Andrew Booth being with the second team then was surprising because keep in mind, that's a second-round pick going into his second year. So, Dukes, I think of all of the changes or all of the things that I saw in the team drills, I think that was my biggest surprise because I don't remember anything in the offseason camps to indicate Williams was going to be with the first team on day one of training camp a lot.
I would agree. I mean, we figured, okay, Udo at right tackle. We knew that it was going to be a slow go early on for Brian O'Neill. Yes, not on the PUP list, but that he wasn't going to be full go these first few days. So Udo being at right tackle, that wasn't a surprise to me. Yes, on Joejuan Williams, although keep in mind, I mean, Flores with his history being in New England, Williams knowing, a lot of this defense. I mean, that was a specific target of Flores's where he said, hey, let's go get this guy. I think eventually it's Mekhi Blackmon that ascends up. I don't know what the future holds for Andrew Booth Jr. I really don't. I tried to stop and talk with him after practice yesterday. He initially said yes, but then I could tell like he had gotten beat down the left sideline on a deep ball at one point. It just didn't look like he had a great practice. Again, one day, small sample size, not going to over-evaluate, but from my point of view, it looked like he struggled at times on day one. So he looked kind of down. He looked tired. It was so darn hot. He initially said, yes, I'll stop and chat. Then I said, you know what? Let's just do it later. You look a little out of sorts. You look like you need some water. He's like, I do. And he kept walking. He goes, thanks. So, I mean, he was very cordial.
Wow.
But that was the situation after practice. Yeah.
You look like you're going to pass out, dude. You better go to the locker room.
At that point, though, I had gotten like 6 or 7 interviews. I didn't need any more right in that moment. He just didn't look. He just didn't look right. And I get it, right? Like you're wearing the helmet in that heat for 2+ hours. I understand it. So I just said, hey, we'll catch up later in the week or sometime in August. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Trainer Darren Doogie Wolfson. This is impressive. Yeah, good for you.
That was it. Yeah. Call me Chuck Barter or whatever you want to call me. Fred Zamberletti Jr., whatever. But yeah, he didn't look right. But you consider the injury plagued first year, them drafting the USC kid, okay, bringing in Williams. I just don't know, right? And clearly Evans is higher up than Booth on the depth chart. So I don't know exactly how Booth Jr. fits into this equation.
It's funny because Williams, you're right. He missed all season last year with New England. He's only played 550 career defensive snaps in the 4 years, but he was a mid-second round pick. Played SEC football in college at Vanderbilt, so barely. But like he played SEC competition anyways, and was a mid-second round pick, the 45th overall selection. So I don't know. It's his draft status at this point, 5 years later, doesn't really matter as much anymore. But his size, the scheme that he played in, being what kind of the bones of it being what Brian Flores wants to run here defensively, and formerly being one of the highest cornerbacks drafted in the 2019 draft. It's interesting, I guess. I see now why he's not just a body that's sort of fighting for a roster spot and why he'd be getting some run. Makes some sense.
Yes, although I'm positive, maybe it's not necessarily as soon as today, but they're going to mix and match. Don't you think, Judd? We're going to see other guys get first-team reps. Okay, you want them to face Cousins. I know the second team sometimes faces the first-team offense, this and that, but I think first team versus first team, they'll mix and match those corners pretty good the next few weeks.
Yeah, I just think it's incredibly fair to keep a close eye on where two guys in particular defensively are used, and that's Booth and Scene. And like both are second team right now, and yes, I think that they will get time. I would be I guess I'm a little bit alarmed though that Booth was not first team first day, and Evans, who was I think a 4th round pick in 2022, clearly since the spring camp has been ahead of Booth. I find that to be intriguing, and I think you put it in a very fair way. I think what we don't know is, like, are they mad at him? Is he hurt again? Do they not like him as much? Like, it's just an interesting, a second-round pick, not to be with the first team on day one from a year ago, is worth, I think the best word to use is monitoring, right?
Yes, we will. Yeah, we'll absolutely continue to monitor. Yes. I don't know why exactly they'd be mad, unless it goes back to last year, some of the injury rehab, the way he went. I
mean, Cam Dantzler
maybe not necessarily all in
sideways,
on that. Yeah, I know. So but I don't know where they would be necessarily mad. I just don't know if Flores evaluates him the same way
Sure.
that previous defensive coaches have, going back to last year, Donatel and company.
So Jordan Addison was out there. He did speak to reporters, although he basically just deferred everything to, hey, it's an ongoing legal situation.
Including the dog, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
The dog what about the dog thing? It's legal.
What did you guys make of just, all right, he's back. He kind of spoke to the media. What's the temperature of the room with Jordan Addison right now?
My spies actually tell me that he lives in Minnetrista. The last time I checked, Minnetrista, you're not going home, correct? If you're going eastbound past Dale on 94.
Let's pull up a map here and see.
So look at that. But my spies yesterday said I'm struggling more.
He was going which direction on Dale?
He's going east.
I thought he was going westbound.
He's
No, was he going east?
Yeah, he's
Check
going
out
east.
it's the videos on MN
Yeah,
Crime. The
he's
video's
going towards-
public knowledge. He
he's
was going
going-
eastbound. Okay.
He's going towards Marion. Yeah, he's definitely going eastbound because the lanes, you can see the lanes like this, and this is the westbound, this is the eastbound.
Where's he going over there, by the way? Like, you live in Minnetrista, you're like an hour away from home.
The theory that was floated to me was, because he's not drunk, like keep in mind, not arrested, cited, so it's important. The theory that was floated to me that I sort of like, and this is completely reckless, but I don't care because it's a good theory.
Well, it's reckless speculation Thursday. Bring it on.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
Is that he wanted to see what the Lambo could do, and despite what people say, that's a pretty straight stretch there. Like that's not a hairpin. Like Dale going towards, like once you get to Spaghetti Junction, which he's a ways from, that's a hairpin turn. But if you look at if you go back and break down the video of where Addison is, which I did. That's a straight stretch. So at 3 a.m., you could argue that there would be enough room there to open up the car.
Well, a couple things. So he, on his social media, don't know if it's still there, but was certainly making light of having this unbelievable Lamborghini. So, he was enjoying showing off that Lamborghini. Also being new to town. Okay, the four of us know if you're ever going to do 140, the last place you would do 140 is 94 in Dale. Okay, the four of us get that, but he's still new to town. He may not realize the worst place in the Twin Cities to do that, outside of maybe 62.
Right. Where would you guys, you got a Lamborghini.
Do 140?
And you want to go 140 miles an hour. I will say, this is not advisable. We are not advising
it's
that
reckless
anyone
speculation
does this,
Thursday.
okay?
Oh, because I'm sure a lot of people listening and watching right now have a Lamborghini.
Yeah, I would. Well. First of all, I disagree with Doogie. The last place to go 140 because you would end up in the Pokey, 394 west or east in St. Louis Park. They'll arrest you.
Yep.
They'll arrest you. So at least
or 35E.
Well,
like
those,
after 62, which should be still 110, but that's another
A-words make
discussion.
the speed limit 45 miles an hour that live on Summit Hill. Well, that's
there
a whole
too.
different conversation.
Yeah, well, right there. But I'm also thinking 35E where you would get onto 494 right there.
And in a perfect world,
where would I do it?
In a perfect world, you would find some sort of country road, but then you run into there's things. If you come up on a car, it's a 2-lane road. You need space, right? You need to be able to. So you probably do need a multi-lane.
Good asphalt, though.
Yeah.
Maybe down by Cottage Grove, Newport. Is that 61?
61.
Yeah.
That was 61. I would say even it's a little hilly, but as you get closer to Afton Alps, Manning, which is now right by my neck of the woods, Manning Avenue there on Highway 95, that's also a potentially good one. That's just a straight road.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one.
Yes, I'm racking my brain. I once upon a time took the class Geography of the Twin Cities, but that was about 25 years ago. So I'm thinking.
Credits
University of Minnesota. They're such a Doogie thing.
Yeah.
Here's where Anoka
It was a great class.
I'm sure.
I would give you the 94, the 494, 694 split where it goes 94, and then you go up to like Weaver Lake Road into Maple Grove.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up kind of out in that area. If before you get, so you're going westbound, before you get to Weaver Lake Road, there's like a 1.5 mile stretch from that split. Pretty tough. Like cops don't sit down there. Get up to Weaver Lake Road and you might have a problem. That's probably the 1.5 miles I would choose, and I would shut it down.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know if it would be 94 in Dale.
Well, it definitely would be 94.
No.
But the State Patrol is good. The State Patrol, I would far prefer being busted by the State Patrol than by cops in a suburb. In a suburb, you're going to jail, I think. St. Louis Park, Golden Valley, probably.
Yep.
Well, maybe
Minnetonka,
not Golden
probably.
Valley. We barely have any cops in Golden Valley.
Okay, well,
that's another topic.
SLP, you're going to be in the pokey real quick. Like, they are waiting here.
Yeah. I will say, just real quick to deviate here, the combination of Doogie, the bronze tan, the weight loss, boy, you're having a nice little run here this month, Duke, thanks to your friends at MN Fat Loss.
Yeah,
and
well, I mean,
and the Sun.
Absolutely. I mean, Phil, we could debate about, the sort of run I'm having, but no denying this second I'm tan, rested, ready for day 2 of Vikings training camp, thanks in large part to my friends at mnfatloss.com. Now about 19, 20 days into this journey, down 16 pounds. Now, I feel like I lost all 16 just being in that hot sun yesterday, walking around, sweating like you wouldn't believe in Egan, but no. I mean, yesterday lost about a pound. I mean, that's normal. It's a normal plan. There's no prepackaged foods. Yes, exercise, but you want to get daily exercise anyway. Some steps in, but no strenuous exercise is required. There's no counting of points. It's a very easy to follow plan. Heck, if I can do it, if I can drop 15, 16 pounds, you can too. mnfatloss.com. It's a unique weight loss program. It's easy to lose weight, get healthy, and get your energy back naturally, safely, and effectively. Many patients, I'm looking forward to this, almost there, lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or 2. For your free private weight loss consultation, call 763-312-7600. 763-312-7600. Or schedule online, mnfatloss.com. That's mnfatloss.com. Dr. Adam Schatzko, D.C. Results may vary. But I'm telling you, I am ready to go. Energized, heading into day 2 of Vikings training camp.
Let's go. And reckless speculation Thursday here. So, all right, any other just Vikings nuggets from you, Dukes? Otherwise, there's some interesting Twin stuff. So they already made a trade, Jorge Lopez for Dylan Floro. But any Viking stuff before we get into Twins?
Well, I mean, the elephant in the room is, what question do I get more than anything? Judd, you probably are in the same boat, Phil, Declan, everybody, right? Is what the heck is going on with Danielle Hunter? I wish I could give you the update. I told you I would be surprised if he showed up, if he does show up, that there would be some progress in the contract front, but my sense is there's nothing closer today than there was, let's say, 7 to 10 to 14 days ago, right? And so to me, it's interesting that he wasn't seen anywhere on the field. Okay, so it's very much a hold-in. It's an extended hold-in, right? That you're not even, out there supporting your teammates. And I get it. In the building, all that. But, you couldn't even come out at all? I mean, this is the rare time for the next handful of weeks we get full access. Right, so when we walk in, they're wrapping up walkthrough. So I scanned the field. He wasn't seen for walkthrough. Then we're back out there about 70 to 90 minutes later. Full team workout, practice, nowhere to be seen. So I don't sense that anything is closer today. Not to say that one new talk, one new phone call can change things. Yeah, of course it can. But right now, I just don't sense anything is closer today than it was a couple weeks ago.
What do you think of my crack research that I went through all 400 people that he follows on Instagram, and he follows follows 2 NFL teams, the Vikings and the Jacksonville Jaguars. What does that mean? Yeah,
well, it means that, you look at Jacksonville's roster, right? I mean, a lot of teams could use a Danielle Hunter, but Jacksonville, they've got Trevor Lawrence still on that rookie contract before they need to pay him $200 and something million, maybe by that point, $300 million. So, yeah, Jacksonville has a window, right? I mean, that division stinks. So, yeah, I mean, logically speaking, Phil, I can't tell you 100% definitively, but logically speaking, Jacksonville makes a lot of sense if it ultimately gets to the point of the Vikings needing to trade him, plus the Vikings having interest in trading him to the AFC, not to another NFC team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, let's shift our attention. We've got, 4 or 5 days left until the baseball trade deadline, and the Twins already started. They punted on a year and a half of Jorge Lopez yesterday, and they bring in Dylan Floro, who, by the way, Dylan Floro having a rough season, but better career track record than Lopez, and he has pitched in 5 World Series games and about 10 league championship series, and Lopez has never pitched in a playoff game before. So, I guess if you're going to bet on one of them or the other to be good the rest of the season, then maybe the Twins are betting that Floro has a better chance to bounce back. But what else do you think is percolating right now?
Well, let me add on that. So the Twins were going to non-tender. The way it was trending, they were going to non-tender Jorge Lopez this winter. So even though he was under team control for another year, he wasn't going to be here next year. So keep that in mind. Wow. The Lopez camp was very open-minded with everything going on here. Now, I get it. He was okay his last 2 outings, but then you go back to last week, that outing in Seattle, hitting 3 guys, the mental health break, giving up a lot of big-time hits. That just a change of scenery would do him a lot of good. Now, you can argue the same thing for Floro because he hasn't been that good this year. Now, stuff-wise, Lopez, to me, Phil, has better overall stuff than Floro, but I don't think there's a whole lot of confidence Rocco calling upon Lopez in even a medium leverage situation right now. So Floro can slot in 6th inning, 7th inning. He's not trumping Griffin Jacks or anything like that, but he's somebody that I think Rocco will have more confidence in making the call on. I will also add, somebody close to Floro told me, quote, he's a bit quiet, not a rah-rah guy, but once you get to know him, he gets comfortable with you. He'll talk. Good guy. Obviously knows Pablo, that being Pablo Lopez. Yeah. So that will be helpful to help him there as he acclimates. Okay. So, the feedback on just the person, because the word I got in Aroldis Chapman, yes, the Twins had dialogue with the Royals, but that there were some character red flags. That those talks never even got an inch off the ground. Just from the standpoint of... I know.
What shot a gun?
I know. Yeah, but from the standpoint of just maybe not the guy you want in your clubhouse right this second.
Yeah. Well... And where I will say
that's not the case here with Floro.
Well, and where I will give the Twins credit is I think that the Falvey regime in what you just talked about, Darren, has swung and missed quite a few times. So if they are now starting to take character into account for these trades, that's probably a step in the right direction. You go back to Sam Dyson, which was a debacle as a person too. I mean, forget the fact that he came here hurt. But Sam Dyson was a debacle. Logan Morrison, Lance Lynn, Addison Reed. I mean, this team, and unfortunately, in some ways, and he might not be a bad guy, but it seems like there were demons with Lopez that the Twins didn't know about as well. So if they're starting to take a character into account, I actually like that because it means something. It can't be dismissed completely. This is not rotisserie league baseball.
You're right. That means they have learned you cited all the lessons from years past. This regime made some mistakes, right? So character definitely in the mix when considering, all these trade talks that are occurring. So I'll note, Phil, that over in St. Paul this week, the Saints are over there. By the way, I should note that Byron Buxton officially activated. We knew that was coming. Trevor Larnach optioned. So Larnach back with the Saints. The next move is the Jorge Polanco reinstatement got accelerated. The Twins want him back in the lineup this weekend. I thought at least the initial plan was it would be about now, but then with the conversion to third base, there was some buzz that, okay, let's give him through the weekend. He can rejoin us next week in St. Louis, like Caleb Thielbar. Thielbar threw the other day for St. Paul, looked good, but Thielbar not rejoining the Twins this weekend. It'll be next week in St. Louis. So I thought they would just allow Polanco a few more games at third base the rest of this week in St. Paul. Then he could join the Twins in St. Louis early next week. But no, Polanco will be on the plane later today, heading to Kansas City for the series opener tomorrow. So the question is, what's the next move? Can you really send Wallner down? Okay, that's the easy move. He has options, right? Dude, or would you DFA Gallo? We know Julian isn't going anywhere, but what is the move tomorrow when you activate Gallo? Jorge Polanco?
Is there a team? I mean, Gallo's back to being Gallo, right? He's no longer a train wreck in terms of like Gallo train wreck. He's back to being the Joey Gallo that hits 35 home runs in a full season if he plays and, strikes out 200 sometimes. Is there a team could you trade Gallo for like, an A-ball hitter or something? Is there a team that just needs some left-handed pop and now Matt Wallner slides in and it's easy? Or is it DFA or nothing for Joey Gallo?
Yeah, it's hard to see it, Phil. I mean, like the Yankees could use a lefty bat. Well, the Yankees are not reacquiring Joey Gallo. There wasn't much of a free agent market for Gallo. That was what was interesting, that the Twins gave him $11 million. Who exactly were they bidding against, competing against? So I don't know if that team is out there. Sure, there are some teams out there that can use a bat Could Tampa potentially use a back? Could Houston right now until Alvarez is back? I mean, there are teams, right? I mean, Houston in the mix for Cody Bellinger. So, I mean, I can make a case for some buyers that Gallo could potentially help a little bit, but it's hard to see it, Phil. Like when Derek Falvey said the other day, he held court with reporters in the press box that, hey, we're getting a lot of calls on our outfielders, our left-handed hitting outfielders. That's namely Matt Wallner. Like Wallner's the guy that teams want. 6 years of team control, that exit velo, that arm in the outfield. A lot of teams would love to acquire Matt Wallner. Sure, there's some Larnach fans as well. I've not heard of teams calling the Twins and saying, hey, what would it take to pry Joey Gallo from you? Then you consider the $5.5 million left on his contract. Who exactly is absorbing that much money, Phil? So how much money are the Twins eating in that equation? So I think a DFA would be way more likely than actually working out a trade, unless you're bringing back comparable money. It's trading somebody's scraps for your scraps, being Gallo.
What's the thought process on Kepler then?
Well, I mean, Falvey loves him, right? And he's on a nice little run right now, including the defense.
Well, that's what I would actually
So I know,
like.
You're saying, Judd, hey, can you sell? Maybe not sell high, but now is the time. Look at this role he is on.
Wallner right now. I'd prefer not to trade a guy with that much team control.
I wouldn't trade Wallner either, but I'd want to keep Wallner. Like, I want Wallner in the lineup tomorrow night in Kansas City.
Right.
So what is the move when they activate Jorge Polanco? I want Wallner with the Twins, not with the Saints.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not too worried about them trading him unless the offer is through the roof. It's not like Matt Wallner is untouchable, but to me, I want Wallner in the Twins lineup. But I don't get the sense that there's been any movement on the Kepler front. Just the way Falvey was gushing about him with me recently, I'd be pretty surprised. Not that he's untouchable. Trust me, he's far from untouchable. And we know that $10.5 million option, not like Kepler's going to be here, at least under those terms, next year, right? So it looks like Kepler's going to be elsewhere. But I don't sense there's any momentum right this second on a Kepler trade.
Maybe Joey Gallo comes up with a sore knee or something in the next
Well, maybe.
days.
But I will tell you, Judd, the Kepler stuff is on my radar. It's not like I'm dismissing it. It's on my radar as we head into next Tuesday.
Sense. It makes a ton of sense. Tell Derek it makes sense. He's going to have to cut the cord.
Well, and they realize, right? I mean,
it's over.
They are thinking what I'm thinking. How the heck do we take Matt Wallner out of this lineup?
Well,
right? So those are conversations, trust me, that are being had internally.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things that they need help with in their thinking. And I'm here to help them. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to note, Phil, that over in St. Paul this week, the Washington Nationals are specifically scouting the Saints. Ooh. Now, sure, the Twins have had trade dialogue with Washington. Doesn't mean that it's just Washington. Of course, the Twins are talking with other teams. But, hey, Lane Thomas potentially. Although, do you want Lane, or are you better off acquiring a bat that's a pending free agent? Lane Thomas has multiple years of team control remaining. Although you think about next year's roster, right? No Gallo, no Kepler. Are we sure that Larnach is an everyday player? Maybe he is, right? So maybe you have Larnach and Wallner in the corner outfield spots next year. But does Lane Thomas, does he play center field, Phil?
This year he has played, let's see here, mostly right field, but he's also played some center field. Yeah.
All right, so
he's a good hitter. He's a good hitter.
Yeah, I mean, he's having a great year, right? And he hits lefties. I mean, you probably know the numbers better than I do, Phil, right? But, that's what the Twins are looking for, is somebody that can hit lefty pitching. If you think about matching up in the first round of the playoffs with the Astros, they have a capable lefty starter, depending on, matchups. I mean, Texas has Heaney. Toronto's got a couple guys. I don't know if they would start Kikuchi, and Ryu's back, though, at this point. So you start looking at some of those potential first-round matchups, that 3-6 playoff matchup at Target Field, the Twins potentially seeing a lefty in Game 1 or Game 2. That's what they're thinking. Okay, we need to bring in some sort of righty bat that can help us for one of those games.
Yeah, Lane Thomas, by the way, against left-handed pitchers this season, he has a 1,061 OPS. He has 19 extra base hits in 130 plate appearances against left-handed pitching. So 367 average, a 413 on base. And he's pretty good against right-handed pitching, too. Hey,
let me stress, it's not like it's Thomas or bust, right? But he's a guy that fits what the Twins are looking for. And, hey, the Nationals are keeping an eye on the Twins farm system.
Yeah. All right, what else you got here? A couple minutes left here, Dukes. Empty the scoop bag for us.
Absolutely. So I did a social media minute on Wednesday about Jaden McDaniels. So what I said there is true, that both sides are motivated to eventually work out a contract extension. But right now, the talks are slow going. But since that video emerged, a couple people said, hey, maybe the money you tossed out, don't know if it's quite that. And hey, I said it could absolutely be more. I said, hey, 21 to 24. But yeah, could it be closer to 25 or 26 or maybe even a little north of that? It could be. But bottom line is, with 2 months to go, there is motivation from both sides to work out an agreement, but clearly the Jaden side wants to maximize its earning potential, right? And the Wolves, if they can find a way to bring that mid-20s number down ever so slightly, of course the Wolves would like to do that. But we know that Jaden McDaniels is a building block, that the Wolves want him here for many, many more years. Daniel Oturu, the former Cretan-Durham Hall and Gophers big man, in talks with a team in Turkey. In case you missed it, former Gophers guard Nate Mason signed with a team in France this week. In case you missed it, former Timberwolf McKinley Wright of Champlain Park signed with a team in Montenegro. Ben Johnson of the Gophers in Memphis this week, recruiting, keeping an eye on 2025 forward E.J. Walker. He's a big-time priority. He visited campus earlier this summer. I should also mention mnfatloss.com has a summer special going on right now, $200 off through Sunday, mnfatloss.com. One more note, Brock Stewart did have a setback in that comeback from the forearm injury, but he is now back throwing bullpens, so he should be able to rejoin the Twins sometime in mid-August. Yes, he'll need a rehab assignment for some short stretch, but Brock Stewart should be back like Thielbar with the Twins here in the coming weeks.
Awesome. All right. Happy Reckless Speculation Thursday, Doogie. Good stuff, man.
Take it easy, boys. Judd, I'll see you in a little bit.
Awesome.
All right,
Okay.
there you go.
See ya.
Also, a shout out to our friends over at EcoFun. So, boy, it's electric bike season out there at EcoFun. There's so many fun toys for you to get into. The EFI golf carts, the Moto Guzzi motorcycles, and also ATVs, youth ATVs and dirt bikes too. But the electric bikes are sort of all the rage. 10% off all the retail prices right now. You can snoop around at ecofunmotorsports.com or stop in person off 35 in Forest Lake or 35W in County Road 42 near Burnsville. ecofunmotorsports.com. If you go in, tell them that we sent you in, and you can support us that way. There's your scoop session here on this Reckless Speculation Thursday.
Reckless
That's juicy.
Speculation.